welcome back to Beyond the Cleats podcast. We are going to talk about not just talking about being a great athlete, but actually being a great athlete and kind of how that transitions to not just talking about being a good employee, but being a good employee and what that means to us and how we can do things outside of our career or outside of our sports to better ourselves on the field. Because not everything is done on the field, right?
No.
Like, we have things that we have to do to become great athletes, or even have that difference between a good athlete and a great athlete, right? Because you have those players that are, like, naturally talented 100%. And, like, can just go out and, like, score tons of goals or hit tons of home runs, whatever. They're just naturally gifted, strong athletes. And then you get the ones that, like, are well-rounded but have to go put extra hours in, right? And have to go to the field more often and, like, have to go strength and conditioning and, like, things like that. I was always that player. I always had to go do extra. Now, did I have natural talent? Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, like natural athletic
I was
ability.
quick. I was whatever, I had those
athletic,
things.
for sure.
But I had extra things I wanted to add to my tool belt, right? We've talked about the tool belt a little bit.
Toolbox,
yeah.
100%.
I had extra things that I wanted to add to myself to make myself more, I don't know, attainable, well-rounded. Like, I wanted to be a better athlete.
Yeah, be more competitive. And that's also, like, and like the office, like, be a better being a better, coworker, stuff like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. So what are some things that you think make the difference between being a good athlete and a great athlete?
Besides just from the intangibles of being, like, a good person and selflessness, which we talked about, I think that's the core of it. Your great athletes are going to be the athletes that look out for everyone else. And that's just a personal opinion of mine. I feel like it helps you not only from the athletic perspective, whether it's the professional perspective. I feel like if you can develop an awareness for others, it'll help you do your job better.
And that's in every aspect of your life. That's not just a sport,
100%. But I say beyond that, that's really all it is. It's just having those habits outside of practice, outside the field. Like, the biggest habit that was ingrained in me was doing teamwork. That was my dad. That was my batting coach. And then when I got to college, it was just something that was ingrained in me. I just, every other day, I went and I just did teamwork. Sometimes it was 30 minutes. Sometimes it was an hour and a half. And not only, it's because you become so used to it. And even though people be like, oh, that's something extra that you do. Like, that's something, like, you're going above and beyond. It's just something that made me, essentially. It was almost meditative.
Yeah.
So, to tie it back to what you were asking, it's just doing those little things. It's doing the teamwork. It's making sure, you're getting, your proper food. Make sure you're eating. Make sure you're eating good foods. It's just little things that are going to make you a little bit better from the performance aspect. But it's the same thing with, like, professionally. Like, if I know we're going up in the altitude chamber, all right, got to make sure I get some sleep. Got to make sure I have some food in the morning. So it's doing those little things to prepare you to do your job, do your role better.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think you bring up, like, a really good point about the extra, like, and it's more like, I guess, the extra mile, right? Like, going a little bit more than, like, for me anyways, like, I was that player that would, like, go run some miles before practice. People would be like, you're crazy. Why you go before practice, go run some miles? We're going to go run. We're going to go do this. We're going to do that. Like, I would get that all the time.
I would do, like, my prehab. We'd have, like, a lifting session. I'd go do, like, some prehab, and they're like, what are you doing?
And like, you're a teacher's pet. Like, you're trying to suck up. I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, no, actually, I'm not.
And they're like, oh, coach says you're doing extra. Like, well, I'm not. It's just something that I think it was just ingrained in us.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a part of you.
Right.
Those habits.
I'd done it from a young age. I was always the one that I was one of the few people that would go strength and conditioning, not coach, train, like, during high school. Like, I was told from a young age, like, I was susceptible to injuries always. That was something that I've always done, I've always dealt with, like, all these things. So my AT was like, hey, I'm nervous that you're gonna, like, tear your ACL or something. Like, can you please, like, go in the gym a little bit and, like, train? Like, I just want you to get stronger. It will make you a better athlete. You'll get all these, benefits from it. And I was like, I put it off for a while. And then my knee dislocated, and I was like, oh, all right.
Like,
that was a little scary. Let's go get in the gym, get stronger, do these things. that would, benefit me in the long run. And I think that had a huge impact on me moving forward, because when I went to college, I wasn't afraid of the gym. I think a lot of females in particular are like have this like stigma of
100%.
not wanting to go in the gym. I don't want to have big muscles. I don't want to be bigger than like my boyfriend. I don't want, those things that like
I don't want to get swole.
Yeah, like I don't want big muscles. Like, and that's
which, girls, you won't get big muscles. You do not have that much testosterone unless, you're meeting someone in a back alley for some
absolutely
fun substances.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's a huge like stereotype. It's like females think that the second they go into the gym, they're gonna just grow these massive muscles. I mean, I don't know about you, but like if you look at me, like I'm not a massive individual. I work out a lot, like a lot. Yeah, I mean, you could probably say the same for yourself, right? Like I have muscles, I'm toned.
Yeah,
I
we're
have these
toned.
things.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm strong. Like I'm proud of it. And it's something that I can like sit here and confidently say I've worked really hard for.
Yeah.
There's countless times I didn't want to go for a run. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to do these things. But I did, because I wanted to be a good athlete. I wanted to stand out. And that's the difference between a lot of, again, good athletes versus great athletes. You can hear it from all the professionals all the time. They go do something when they don't want to do it.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So, like, when I don't want, it's like kind of the same thing outside of this. I journal every day. I reflect. I'm a big reflector. I like to do those things. And I force myself to do it on days that I don't want to do it. But it just, like, in the long run, there's so much growth from it and development from it, like, forcing myself to do something that I don't want to do. And it just goes, like, a long way in your personality, like how you develop yourself, where you're going, in your future and stuff like that, as a person, but also as an athlete. Like I said, like, going and doing the extra mile. It's like, as a coach, those are the kids I want. Those are the kids I'm looking for.
The ones that want to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because if they're doing something off the field, that means that they're also very coachable on the field, right? So if they're already trying, they're already setting themselves up, they're watching film, they're eating right, they're sleeping, they're talking to me about struggles and things, and they're doing all they can outside the field, it makes me want to put them in the game that much more.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
100%.
Like, because if they're going to put things in for themselves, I want to put some things in for them. Because I reward that behavior. I think it's great to have those kids that come there, like, and they're not the ones that are going to be like, yeah, I ran 6 miles before practice, I did this. Like, they're not going to talk about it. They're just going to do it, right?
Yeah,
it's like
those are the best kind of kids. But like, you go the extra mile and you're not like telling people about it. Like if I can transition a little bit from on the professional side of things, there are times when you're putting in like multiple 10, 11-hour days. I'll tell you right now, and this isn't to boost my ego, but if I'm doing like multiple 10 and 11-hour days, I feel bad talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus like, other people be like, oh yeah, this is my, and again, it's all from a camaraderie thing too. Like, oh yeah, we're putting in like, but like, I don't know if it's I was just always from a complaining standpoint, but it's not complaining, but it's just, I don't know. I've always like just felt weird about like, oh yeah, this is going to be my, second, 11-hour day. It's really, long. I don't want someone to feel bad for me, because at the end of the day, it's like, all right,
realistically,
cool.
Probably no one will anyway. I mean, even if they do for the short term, it's not going to change anything, right?
No.
Who cares? Not going to do much. There's always people ask like, how are you? I'm like, good. Can't complain. And they're like, even if you do, no one's going to care.
It's very true.
Right? No one's going to care. In the grand
everyone's
scheme of
in
things,
their own bubble. If you really think about it, everyone's in their own little bubble.
Yeah.
Granted, everyone has awareness for other people and everything like that.
Yeah, right.
But everyone's in their own little bubble.
Yeah.
Everyone's dealing with their own demons and things. Like, it like you said, it doesn't matter. Like, you're complaining, you're like, cool. Oh, granted, like, again, as like a supervisor, as a leader, like I want to hear those things. Like, hey, like, how you doing? Yeah. Like, chatted with one of our technicians, because they were kind of like, oh yeah, it's another long day. I'm like, hey, let me know how I can alleviate. Let me know how I can help you. So it's also from a leadership standpoint, you kind of want to hear those things. Yeah. But also, from different. A peer-to-peer standpoint, it's like, all right, dude, like, we're in this together. Let's roll with it. Yeah, it
sucks. Embrace the suck. That's what we always say in the military. Everyone, like, it's so funny, but it is so true. Sometimes you just have to. It's one of those things where it's like, the day's not going to be any shorter. We either make the best out of the training or we don't. And then, you know, later down the road, when we're on deployment and I have to work next to you and I'm not sure that you can accomplish the task because you goofed off that whole day of training instead of, you know, the 11 hours and just like sat
100%.
there instead of actually training. You know, there's a big difference between that. And it goes a long way for like trust as well. You know, I'm going to trust the guy that's going to the range, you know, outside of training and getting in their shots and their, you know, their craft, like honing in on that. I'm going to trust them way more than someone that's just like going to practice, going to training, and that's it. That's all they do.
That's it. You check in, check out.
Yeah.
But that's also not to say that work-life balance is incredibly important.
Yeah.
With whether it's athletics, whether it's work, whether it's, you know, on the military side of things, there's, and again, military, you know, is a little bit of a different animal than like your 9 to 5 or your student athlete, which is 100% acknowledgeable. But outside of that, like if you're having your traditional, you know, 9 to 5 hours, like take those hours, like have that, like if you don't got to be in work for 10 hours and you can go home at 5, go home at 5.
Right.
Like give your body that, give your mind that.
Yeah, I think there's also a difference between like your situation in life, right? Like if you have a family and you have kids, like you're gonna want to put time aside and go hang out with them, and you have to, right? You got to compartmentalize that. But if you care enough about something, you're probably gonna do a little bit extra anyway.
Yeah, even just like a little bit. 100%.
Even if it's just like I'm gonna go put a game of soccer on, just put it in the back. I like watching it. Like let me like watch this while I'm doing whatever. I'm gaining things, but at the same point, I'm having a little bit of fun of doing it, you know, back and forth.
Yeah, you kind of make it a part of kind of your everyday.
Yeah, it's still beneficial, but it's not in the same way as if I feel like I've got to go run 20 hours and then also go to practice in another hour and then you know, do whatever and piggybacks off. Yeah.
Well, it also balances day to day.
Yeah.
Like if you have those really stressful, or not stressful, I'd say those really like high volume days.
Yeah.
You know, you're maybe not, like, I'm probably not going to go, you know, read a research paper, like, before bed and all that stuff. I'll maybe probably decompress.
Yeah, true. I mean, and I think it also is, like, finding other things, too. So, like, if you know, if maybe instead of, like, going for an extra run before practice that day, instead you visualize, you know, you sit down and you meditate a little bit and you know, think about what you're going to do and those things. Like, that also has a lot of benefit. It doesn't have to be the one that's going to go put 70 hours and killing their body because, like, that's not beneficial.
Because burnout is a huge thing.
Huge.
It's a huge thing.
In everywhere. Work, sports.
But it's creating that balance and doing that extra and getting that competitive edge. You're doing that to benefit yourself. You're not going to be like killing yourself. Like if you're having like, you know, an 11, 12-hour day and then you're going and...
Well, it's also what's important to you too. If that run is important to you, then you go do that. You go run.
That's fair.
If
or you work it into your day.
Yeah.
Like if that's something like you want to do and that's your extra and that's like what you're pushing for, you make it work, which I truly believe in that. If you really want to do that, you can make it work. Even if it's like writing. When I wanted to fit stuff in, I would literally just write my schedule hour for hour because I knew I wanted to get it in. There was actually last summer where I was doing a lot of work trips up to Pikes Peak. I knew that was going to be a super... I don't know, this might be a weird thing, but maybe other people... I actually love when I'm more busy because then it forces me to write out my schedule and write in my things that I have to do versus when I don't. So when I was doing all that traveling and stuff, I didn't miss a workout, didn't miss my reading sessions, and I wrote it. It kind of like honed me in a little bit more versus, you know, January, December, February, where there's not a lot going on, and you feel like you're almost like more on top of it. But I guess that also goes back with when I was doing athletics in season. I loved being in season because it was boom, 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 and I still did those extra little things. I still did like my tea work, my studying, and everything like that. Off season, where it's like, oh my gosh, I have so much more time.
Yeah. See, I'm doing the opposite. I'm training myself not to be like that. So crazy. Don't get me wrong. I am absolutely crazy busy. Absolutely. And it's just because I like to do things and I like to be like that. But especially those off months, like you were saying, like January, February, like those are kind of like, you know, maybe even December is kind of like a little bit of an off month. But I'm trying to see the value in not over crazy like filling in my schedule.
That's fair.
So that I have to take some time to prioritize what's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're like going through school, like your coach tells you, you know, this, you have your schedule of classes. So you got this. You got your practice time. You've got your lift time. You've got the meeting times. You've got these things. They're all set up for you, right? Schedule. Then I hop into the military. Same exact thing. When you eat, when you sleep, when you get it, when you know, everything lined up to like the fact of when you're allowed to groom yourself, how long you're allowed to groom yourself, like those types of things. Like everything's again set up for me. Then I go and I transition out into like the real world, and it's not so, you know, set in stone. We have things that are set in stone. I've got to still do
a little bit, yeah,
XYZ, blah blah blah, whatever. But it wasn't so like routine, I guess. But I thrive off of routine. I still do, even though I'm not like keeping myself super hour to hour, minute to minute, second to second, like, you know, jam packed with everything. I am jam packed, but I'm trying to not be like so contingent on the fact that I have to throw everything in there.
Yeah, I used to have it like minute by minute. It was bad at one point. Like I knew what I was doing for like to the point where I put like, okay, 15 minutes. This is gonna be where my snack is. It was very
I hear you. I mean, you get down to those things, right? To those like parts of your life where it has to be like so narrow. But I find that when I do that, I'm not super self-aware of like the life that I'm living, because it's so muscle memory. I'm just gonna do this, go through this, that I like my reflection is down, like my gratitude is down, my like
those intangibles.
Yeah, those things
kind of
that
lacking.
Yeah, and so it makes it hard to like it makes it hard to actually live like a meaningful life, I feel like, because
that's fair.
I'm so focused on just surviving. And I've had those moments where I've definitely just been surviving in life and not necessarily living, and I don't want to be there.
Like day to day, week to week, where it's like you're just trying to get to the next week and get to the next day.
Yeah, I feel like that this month right now, I'm living that, and I don't like it. I don't like it. It's one of those things where I have to genuinely like sit down and be like, all right, we know this is going to be busy the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This is not how it's going to be the next, year. Like, let's just get through this month. I guarantee this month is just going to be the hardest right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't like being here. I don't like this frantic, stressful, chaotic, minute to minute, second to second, like trying to fit everything in week by week. It's just not fulfilling to me anymore. It doesn't give me that sense of like I said, actually living life. Because like
enjoying it a little bit, breathing a little bit,
out of the routine.
Going to, exactly.
The structured routine. Routine's good. I love routine. I'm
100%.
all about a routine.
I agree.
Just like, like you said, like having those moments. It's like now sometimes I force myself to go for a walk instead of a run.
Yeah, or just like
Huge. Yoga.
It's like giving yourself a breather.
Yeah.
By having that minute to minute, hour to hour structure it doesn't give you time to breathe. I know when I've done it, because it's beneficial, but I immediately will come off of like a crash.
Yeah.
Like
yes,
I will go literally 2-3 weeks of just like hardcore, like I'm in my zone, but then like I have to give myself a week of just like no structure, to where it sometimes, if I'm going for like a long period of time, like if it's like, I've done like where it's been like 75 to 90 days where I'm just in
the grind,
my bubble.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a big crash. I would
get sick. Like my body would physically get sick from doing too much. It was so crazy what stress can do to your body.
100%.
And like mitigating stress is like one of the biggest things that I've had to challenge in like the transition of like understanding that like you can control like that part of your life. As much as people like to say that it's not controllable, like stress and anxiety and stuff, it is. You really can. Like there's things that you can do.
Even just altering your breathing. Like
slow down.
My one teammate, best advice she ever gave me was, she's like, okay, I want you to breathe through your mouth, and then I just want you to do that like 3 times. So I'd be like, hold, and then breathe out.
Yeah.
Even just doing that right now, I was like, oh.
I do that when I wake up in the morning. I take like 20 like really deep big breaths. And like when you first start doing it, you'll get so much oxygen to your brain that you're like it like almost is like giving you a high. Like you're almost like, what is going on? Yeah. But just taking that time to slow your heart rate down, like slow yourself down, like, and it can be in any walk of your life. It could be like, you know, when you're performing, like being an athlete and like doing a task, or like when you're getting ready to go work, or, you know, you have a certain task at work. Like, it doesn't matter, but like, it's so essential to take a moment to slow down. And I think that's what you miss when you are so in the grind of doing, like,
in that structure and in that kind of
back to back to back to back.
You're not really living. You're just, it's almost like robotic, which sometimes I get. If you have a lot of stuff that you got to get done, go into that zone. Yeah. But you got to be able to pull yourself out. Yeah. And know where you're getting to that kind of peak in that. Because that's what life is. Throughout the year, you're going to have the highs and the lows. So you have to kind of be able to balance yourself both physically and mentally with those high and low periods. Right. And even with like still do those things that are extra. But I would say also go with those know when it's your high season and your low season. Yeah,
and balance the risk versus reward of it. Exactly. Right? So like if you're gonna go yourself. Yeah, if you're gonna go kill yourself, and know that at the end of it, your body's gonna feel it. You're what comes around goes around. I promise you. All those hours that you put in, you're gonna feel it at the end. It's like when I would go through and I'd hit finals, right? Like through college. Yeah. You'd go through, you knew it's gonna be a grind. But after finals, you're like dead. You're like, I need a nap. Like my body physically like hurts. I can't do this. It's like the same thing when I would go through like soccer season. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I literally can't move. Like I literally I just can't. After the season ended, like I'm like, I need a week to just decompress, slow down, and restart. But yeah, taking a moment to just slow down, feel what you need to feel, and
while still doing those things that are going to give you that competitive edge. Yeah. Again, circling back to, it's good to do things that are extra. You want to be that person. You want to give yourself that edge, but doing extra also means self-care.
Yeah. Facts. Absolutely.
That's part of the extra, which we forget, because we can sit here all day like, oh yeah, I'm going to go do my run. I'm going to go do my T work. Yep. I'm going to go get a pump band. I'm going to do my prehab. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go sleep. Self-love. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to go do my attitude of gratitude. Yep. I'm going to go do some breathing, maybe do some yoga. Yeah. Oh, maybe I'm going to go see my buddies at the pub for an hour. Yeah. Maybe let me call my buddy up and see what he's doing. Maybe, because we forget that I'm terrible with interpersonal relationships. I'll say that right now. I'm terrible. Yeah. Terrible texter. Like, you know, I'm so bad. I'm so bad. Like, I literally have to, like, pencil in. Like,
I'm no better either. I saw the thing you texted me that, hey, we're on for Saturday, right? I'm like, yeah, I had it in my phone and everything. And then I got in the car this morning, was going to a coffee shop, and I was like, oh dang, I totally forgot about it. So that's why I texted you. I was like, we're still good, right? I'm like, oh man, bro, terrible.
My buddy called me out for it. He's like, I feel like you're like scheduling me in. Like I'm in like a work. Yeah. I literally texted him, hey, I'll circle back with you on this date. And I'll see if that's good. Can we do like a 6 p.m. and like can we do like a 6 p.m. maybe 6:30? He's like, bro, why are you freaking talking that way? I'm like, this is just how my brain. But
like, I don't know.
Going back to, but it's, you know, calling people up, and it don't get. One thing I'm working on is I can't get so into my work bubble. I have to
expand.
Yeah. Give myself a hobby. That's what I'm like, I gotta find I'm getting like, I'm doing like the cart thing, and that's like helping me get into like a hobby that's not lifting heavy objects or stuff. But life balance. I mean, that's the.
I wish someone had told me this early. Like, I wish I had a class in high school where someone's like, hey, this is going to be really important. Give it a listen. And, like, I wish my high school brain would just, like, be like, yeah, let's take this in. Which I don't even know if I would have been receptive to it, to be honest.
I would have went right over my head. I would have
been like, self-love, self-care. Who does that? Like, who cares about themselves? What? Like, that's a concept. Like, I'm over here, like,
oh, boy, I'm trying to get recruited right now. Like, I got to be on my grind.
I'm going to go work out 20 hours extra if I want to. Like, chill, bro. I would have, like, my strength and conditioning coaches would be like, they'd limit the amount of time I could go into the gym. They'd be like, you're doing too much. Like, you're in season.
Like,
This is
get
a
outta here.
maintaining season for you in the sport.
The
Like,
highs and lows.
this is maintaining. This is what you need to do. You don't need to be grinding it out in season. You need to be performing in season. And the out of season, that's when we'll grind it out. That's when we'll get the heavy weights and we'll do this stuff. Like, having those people like, all right, check me a little bit. Like, hey, you don't always need to be like, like doing
chill.
24/7. Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah. I seriously wish I had that, because I would have been so, oh man. Or like even a coach, like, to be like, hey, like, we as humans just need this. This is not just an athlete thing. This is a human thing. This is something that 100%. Everyone can benefit from.
And something people need to be reminded, especially as kids, like, they need to be reminded to just, like, take a breather.
Yeah.
Dude. Like, I especially, and I think it's especially those kids that I think, like us, want that competitive edge.
Yeah.
Want to be because it's just something we also love doing. Like, I loved doing teamwork.
Yeah.
That was my safe space.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even from a skill perspective, but just like a being perspective. And I bet you could say the same for running. Like, it was
be
just
shooting too, or whatever I was trying to hone in on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it was, the same exact concept. It was, like I said, but then also I would get to that. I don't know if this ever would happen to you, but I would like have consistent great shot. I'd have one bad shot after like I've done 60 good ones, and I'd get pissed.
Is that when I never got pissed?
Oh, see, I would get so mad.
I was like, oh,
Did you, like, I don't know, maybe it's different for T-work. Did you ever, like, miss a ball or something? And, like, I would just get so mad at myself, like, if I, like, got one wrong. And I'm like, dude, you just had 60 good ones. Like, bro, it's okay to, like,
what are you talking about?
Not be, like, 100% perfect. It's like, what's the you miss 100% of shots you don't take, like, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going out there and I'm doing extra things. Like, I'm trying to, work this out for myself.
Like, God damn it, you were 9
yeah,
out of 10.
Gosh, you're not perfect. All right. Yeah, I wish
Loser.
someone would tell me that, too. I wish someone would seriously be like, hey, like, you're not perfect. You're never going to be perfect. Stop trying to meet that unrealistic
I always wanted to
expectation.
end off a high note. That was also,
Yeah.
like if I was doing, like, 10 balls and the last one was kind of a dinky ball, I'm like, okay, I would do like that.
Okay.
I was never...
Yeah, I hear you.
That too competitive, but
oh, I was so bad. Especially myself. I was definitely a me versus me for sure. Like, I never cared about anyone. I was like, you suck. Like, but I was terrible. Like, self-care.
Yeah,
I was
self-care.
terrible with the mental side of it. I was terrible.
Yeah.
No one helped me with it either. I literally, and like, your parents can try and do whatever, and bless my parents' soul. Like, my mom is amazing. She, would support me till the end of the world. But I don't know if she knew how to help me with that either. No. And I don't even think she knew the extent of it, because it was all in my head. I wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah,
that was the 100%. Other thing. I never had an open conversation where I'd be like, hey, like, are you okay? Is your like performance affecting you? Like, yeah, exactly. I never had that forum where I was like, oh, let's talk about this. Because until I got to college, that wasn't a thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why it's great to have something like this, where we just like are like, hey, like, let's talk about the crazy things that would happen. You know?
If you guys got stories, seriously, like, we want to hear about it. Like,
absolutely.
That's what this is for. Like, we could talk here all day. If you're listening or if you're watching. This is why we created this platform, to create these conversations. And we can only talk so much about our experiences. Like, we want to hear about your guys' experiences too, because it all goes hand in hand, whether it's in the professional realm or in sports, even just freaking life. Life is, it's crazy.
And hard.
It's
hard.
Life is hard. And it's all about, again, doing those extra things, not only for your performance, but also for yourself, and just managing those highs and lows.
Yeah.
That's really the name of the game. It's just managing the highs and lows.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to say avoid those crashes.
I think it's so that you can manage them more, right?
Manage the crashes, because you're going to have those, like, I need to relax.
Yeah.
And I don't want to think of it in a negative aspect, because you don't want that avoidance mentality, because then I had a huge crash, and then it was all avoidance, especially like when I had overtraining injuries. Avoidance. It's not about that, it's about managing them. But life's tough. Get a helmet, we got this.
Get a helmet. That's what all those tools are. Right? Helmet's one of those tools. And they're important. Wear your freaking helmets, kids.
All right, guys, we'll leave you with that one. Have a wonderful night, and do an attitude of gratitude for tonight. All right, check you guys later.
Let us know what it is in the comments.
Yes, we want to know. What's your attitude of gratitude?
Well, we want to share one real quick.
Yeah, okay.
You go.
I'm just gonna say my mother. I've been going back and forth. I've been really stressed right now with I'm moving, so I'm hopefully gonna be in a new apartment and everything. So on top of all the other stuff that I have with work, I'm also moving in a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's so much stress.
I
So
know the
I've literally
feeling.
been calling her every single day, and she's kind of, calming me down. So I'm gonna say, and my brother, actually my whole family, but I love them. They've been really supportive during this stressful time of just like, my brother's a big logic guy, so he'll just be he'll take the emotion out of the situation. So super grateful for him and my mom and my dad. We have some good chats every once in a while.
Love that.
He's a quiet guy.
Yeah, love
But
that.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I think mine today is, I guess I'll just be grateful for, like, you inviting me into this platform to be here to share, experiences and, what we took from, our sporting careers and how
Yeah.
we, can grow off of that. And I really like the platform and what we stand for. So I'm super, super grateful for that. Plus, it's a little bit of therapy. I sit here and I just talk about, things that have affected me, and maybe it will make, someone else's life a little bit easier, kind of like what we talked about earlier with the villains and heroes, topic. So very grateful for that. So I just, thank you
Awesome.
for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Of course, of course. All right, guys. As Elena said, leave your attitude of gratitude in the comments. We want to hear about it.